farmer, next village, Ellsworth, and we found the difficulties at the end where while submitting the application, uh, because of some technical difficulties, he was unable to submit his application. But then I would request for the next application when it comes to the deadline, it should not fall on the Saturday and Sunday. So if it is fall on Thursday, Friday, till in a working day, so the person, he was keep pressing the submit button, unable to submit because his bank was not accepted by the application form.
Okay.
So that's a really technical, which was solved by the officers afterwards.
Yes.
I just put a point that this happened actually recently,
Yes.
and he was pressing the button and unable to press. But then we realized if the last date is not on the Sunday, but on Thursday and Friday, for any funding, any future funding,
Right.
then people can directly come or call, or they can
Okay.
solve the problem faster and
Okay.
quicker.
I'm sure the officer will have noted that. Does that affect the accuracy of the minutes, do we think?
I don't think there's anything about this in the minutes, so I think
Okay.
I don't think it relates to the minutes, but
Okay.
it's useful
So-
matters arising. Rather
Okay.
than
It's
Good.
just
So I think we can take the minutes as being a true record, and now move on to agenda item 6, which is an item on youth engagement on climate change, which is going to be presented by Ellie. Yes, Ellie will present that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, so this report provides an update on work currently being undertaken to engage young people on action and decision making related to climate change and nature in South Cambridgeshire. So the 2021 Climate Emergency UK scorecards identified some further work needed on engaging young people as part of our work to tackle the climate and ecological emergencies. And we really recognise that as we're in the process of developing the new climate and nature strategy, a key part of this work is engaging a really wide range of people, and a really key group here is engaging young people within the district. So back in October, the Democratic Services team and the Climate and Environment team worked together to hold a workshop, and the subsequent Climate and Environment Advisory Committee meeting in Commonton Village College, and this was also attended by Sawston and Cambourne Village Colleges. And the workshop taught students about the work of the District Council on a number of different topics related to climate and nature. And the students then asked a series of questions of the committee in the public questions section of the committee meeting. And these questions highlighted a number of different areas of concern in young people, to which the District Council responded in the following meeting. And these questions, these responses can be seen in Appendix A of the report. And since then, further work has been undertaken in response to these questions and areas of concern raised by the young people. So we're exploring different opportunities to engage with young people in schools. So we're engaging, we're exploring different opportunities to engage with young people on the Greater Cambridge Chalk Streams project, and also understanding thinking about how we can communicate more widely on biodiversity and chalk streams, and this has included a recent article in the South Cambs magazine. And we're also taking on board the concerns of young people around water and water usage, and exploring this topic through the new climate and nature strategy. So just to note, these are actions in addition to the actions which were set out in Appendix A in those responses. And we're also developing our approach to sustainable food, which was a key concern expressed by the students, and are hosting a sustainable food summit tomorrow. And more information on that will be provided in the next report. So a key element of our work moving forward to engage schools and young people is through the climate education programme. And so in August 2024, funding was awarded from the Council's internal Green to Our Core fund to fund 10 schools to take part in the climate education programme. And this is a 12-month climate action planning and engagement programme delivered by PECT, formerly known as the Peterborough Environment City Trust. And this provides support and tools to build a climate action plan and brings together lessons plans and resources to engage young people through the programme. So to date, 7 schools have been onboarded, and one more is in the process of confirming this, and there are 2 spaces remaining for schools on the programme. And as part of this, we'll receive regular reporting on progress against these action plans, including the carbon impacts. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so do we have any questions for Ellie on her report? Thank you for the report, by the way. It's very good. Okay. So, Councillor Redrock?
Thank you, Chair. I do have a few questions, but I'll start with, with one. I'm afraid it might be a little bit off topic, but I just thought it was quite important, so I hope it's okay to raise it. In your background for the youth engagement, you've got about the work on the new climate and nature strategy and about involving a diverse range of people, including young people, at an early stage of the process to support the development of key themes within the strategy. And that's not something I remember hearing about before, so I just wondered if you had any information on that, on what work had been done on that, and or what plans there were for that. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. So we're currently in that process of developing the strategy. We've currently undertaken a number of sort of sessions and attended different events to engage people sort of at the early stage of the strategy, and that has included attending events like the Chamber of Commerce Back to Business event, the South Cambs Christmas Market, so events which you wouldn't typically get that kind of climate focused audience there, but we are sort of looking for opportunities and seeking opportunities to sort of engage further with different groups as well. And we also attended the Housing Engagement Board, so made sure that the tenant representatives were aware of the work that we're doing on the climate and nature strategy. And yes, so we'll also we'll cover it in the forward plan item later, but we'll provide an update on the climate and nature strategy at the 1st of April committee.
Thank you. I think I actually spoke to you at the market and my son did put a post-it on, so yes, I do remember that now. Thank you. Do you think that you're reaching all the groups that you need to, or do you think there's any more work that needs to be done to make sure that it is truly a diverse group? I mean, it sounded like it was quite diverse, but are you looking to see if there's any gaps? Thank you.
I think that one of the next steps we do have to do on the strategy is look at how we're going to run the consultation on it. So yeah, completely, we would be, as part of that process, that planning process for the consultation, looking to see whether we are going to adequately engage everybody that we need to, and that will include obviously thinking about how we're going to engage the younger audience and getting that feedback as well. So yeah, we've got opportunity to do that still.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Martin.
Can you give us more details about the food summit and what it's going to be involved with, location, so that people can know about it?
Yes, well, So the next report is a compendium update report, and we'll provide an update on the Sustainable Food Summit. Then I can provide that update now, or in the next report.
Right, I think if you're able to,
Now?
with that.
I think it'd be useful. I think it would be useful.
That's fine. Yeah, so we're holding the Sustainable Food Summit tomorrow, yeah, that's basically designed to bring together those different people working in the local food system. The primary aims of the summit will be to, we sort of thought through 3 main aims that we want to get out of the summit, sort of those are, one, to consider sort of the main themes around sustainable food in South Cambridgeshire, thinking about how we can bring about a more resilient food system, and sort of think about how it can be more connected and linking up the right people in the right places. Then the second one is to take the first steps towards forming a sustainable food network, and then the third one is to bring together the different actors in the local food system, so local businesses, groups, sort of organisations and individuals, to kind of think about all the ideas and opportunities around sustainable food in South Cambridgeshire. So those are kind of the overarching aims of what we want to get out of the session. But yes, so we're quite excited. It's the kind of first event that we've done on this topic. So yeah, we're really excited to be hosting that in collaboration with Cambridge Sustainable Food.
Thank you. Councillor Peter Sanford.
Thank you, Chair. Ellie, with respect to the climate education programme, 7 or 8 schools seems a pretty low take-up compared with the total number of schools in the district. Have you had any response from the other schools why they're not interested, or have they just not responded to the invitation?
So I think it's been a range of reasons why they haven't been able to take up the programme. So just to mention before this point, so other districts in the area have also run this programme, including East Cambridgeshire District Council and Huntingdon, and they have experienced similar sort of slow take-up at the beginning. And I think sort of, I mean, I don't want to put words into mouths. I think sort of sometimes the time, the capacity of schools to take part in these kinds of things can be a barrier, but we have been working to try and advertise it as widely as possible. But yeah, we recognise that there are sometimes barriers for schools to take part.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps a lot of positive publicity out of the first round, and send, should we say, good reviews from participating schools to their peers. That might have some effect, that kind of thing. But okay, thank you.
Councillor Bhattacharya.
Thank you. It's a bit difficult to question backside. So I was in the workshop and I was in the food sustainability table. I enjoyed that because education is the only criteria that where we can and we should work. But now the main question is taking the responsibility from all of us, like from officers, from councillors, from members, from the parents, from the school, from the teachers. When you call the responsibility, it should be a very 360-degree, very like an approach where all feel they are responsible to do something. School is a very good point to start with actually, but that I agree with Peter's point that we really need to do the scale up. Scale up means one school has some more than 1,000 children, but in each table, one selected children, they got the opportunity to come and talk. So my question is that how can we scale it up? Like going to do it more frequently, and not only that they should not feel, wow, there was one day was a school day off and we came to something different and then we are off. We need to create some students ambassador. Like we both are responsible asking question to each other. What is the feedback? What is the update? And what is the work has been done or something? We can also create the students ambassador. They can take the responsibility to educate the other set of children, because our officers cannot go there on and on like every week or every month. And then if we again sit like a conference, they will also feel some pride that our our voices are heard. They are taking us seriously. It's a kind of a ecosystem that we can create, that we all are working together. So my main question is here: how we can do the scale up? Scale up means it should go at all level, scaling up all school, more number of classes, more number of children. Then the children will come back to us. We will ask, what have you done this time? They will ask us question, we will ask them question. So it, in the both ways, we all feel that we are actually helping each other for a sustainable goal to achieve.
Thank you. Very good points. So yes, how do we take this forward and scale it up? I suppose we've got the program with our sort of 10 schools. I think we've got 8 signed up. But I suppose we should be looking at horizon beyond that program and maybe using that program to sort of seed what comes after it. Do the officers have any kind of anything to add that might answer Shravona's question?
I mean, I'd agree. I would agree with that. Actually, I think this is just the first step that we're on now, and I think, you know, the intention is that we should learn from this program, look at the scalability of it. How can we adapt it for different educational establishments if we need to? So I think that there is completely that opportunity there to do that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Councillor Toomey Hawkins.
Yes, I think my point kind of follows on from what's just been discussed, really. Question, are you working with the Youth Engagement Service in the planning service?
Yes, so Orla, who's running the climate engagement program project, has spoken to the officer who leads on the youth engagement
Yes team.
Sorry, yes, yeah, yes team, and yeah, to basically to obviously, so they have a lot of experience now of delivering this kind of work, so to gain those lessons learned, and also identify the right time to work together, and the right opportunities to collaborate in doing that. So yes, that's being explored.
No, that's good to hear. If I can just point out that the Yes team took part in a careers fair in Bourne last year. Let me put my glasses so I can read. And there were about 500 children aged between 10 and 12 at the primary school career. And of course, you know, talk to them about planning, and I happen to be there too, you know, spreading the good word about planning. However, we put out the corporate priorities, you know, in the simple terms, healthy and support the communities, being green to our core, and then we asked them to tell us which is their favorite. And we had 42% of them chose being green to our core, which is very telling. And when we asked them, the rationale was that because trees give us oxygen. It's like the basis of life, isn't it? And so, you know, and some of them said more green spaces, but the idea of, you know, the green space and the green thing is very important to them, even at that age. So, you know, collaborating with the Yes team definitely is a good way forward. So don't underestimate these young people. As I keep saying, whatever it is we're building today is for them, not for the grey-haired ones like us.
Thank you. Oh, was Lisa retro? But no, let's go to Councillor Warren Green first, because you had one go already. Yes. So.
Thank you very much, and thanks, Ellie. Question on water. This section where you've said that we've got a water awareness campaign and we're highlighting the urgency, and then mention the South Cambs magazine. I was just wondering, for youth, as we now approach spring and summer, whether or not there's anything that's been planned specifically to target youth for, around water as we get into the hotter months of the year?
So, I mean, it'll definitely form part of our sort of communications plan moving into the summer, as sort of we get themed articles, and we have the quarterly Zero Carbon Communities newsletter, and sort of those are usually themed with the seasons. And so, yeah, we will look to do sort of articles and communications around those kinds of things, and look for opportunities as well to work with other partners or take part in sort of wider campaigns that take place around water, because I know there's a lot of sort of water saving campaigns, and so to take part in those is a good opportunity, yeah, so we'll look for those opportunities to do that.
No, that sounds really good. I'm sure people would really respond well to that as well. And in terms of the communications that we're using and the outreach to them, are you going to be making sure that schools get these as well as homes? Because I know that sometimes in the home it'll be the adult that got in, not necessarily even the teenager. Is that kind of in the plan of where communications might be put out that aren't necessarily online, that are the paper communications?
So I think it's part of understanding sort of what our role is in reaching out to schools, because obviously the county has a stronger touch point with schools around different topics, but I think there's certainly, especially through the climate education programme, that's a good starting point to sort of communicate with schools on water, and then hopefully that will help us to sort of find networks of schools that we can communicate to or engage with on this topic.
Okay, no, that sounds really good. I think as members, and we work really closely with our county council members as well, I think we can be encouraging them to push this, and also to get, because obviously it's youth, and a lot of youth are online getting their communications. So I guess reaching out to communities through members, we can help that as well and support the communication going to youth through the county, but also ourselves through parish councils and through the community work we're doing. So
Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Can I propose the council to organize some educational trips for the youth and children? So currently can council do that? Because currently the youth and children, they are very much disconnected with the real picture behind and the food coming on the table.
Yeah.
So this is part of the food waste. That is also a very big issue. So can we take them to the real field of the agriculture, where people are working and making the food, and then the business industry where the food is making, and how much work is involved to bring that food from that farming land to on their table plate. It's an entire circle. They are very much unaware of that. We always touch a bit of point here, bit education there, but they do not know. They just know the food comes from the Morrison supermarket. Food comes from there, and they have a choice to make the food waste. Can I propose council to make some educational clips for the children or the youth? Because in my other role, I actually take the children to their farming land, and I make sure that they understand how the agriculture works, the water system, irrigation system, how much involved job is involved there, and then the whole grain cereal food is going to another industry. How from that industry, how many people are working there, and from so much of work, they are coming back to the superstore, and from there, someone is cooking for them, that is coming to their table. So they can build that respect of amount of work is happening behind the scene. Can we help there from our from
Yes.
this group?
Well, thank you. Another excellent point. I mean, I think that touches on so many issues which are around climate environment. How we best use our land, whether, for agricultural use, food production, but then, once we've grown that food, how best to use it, and, really touches on an awful lot of things. So I imagine that could be, considered for a sort of one of the threads in our programme quite usefully. But I don't know, would officers care to comment on that, or? Yes, to see the whole food chain is what you're saying. But
I would just say I think it does completely chime with the kind of ambition that we have with, if we're going to establish us as a sustainable food network or sustainable food place, I think, engagement with the public, including children, would completely fit in with something that we'd want to look at in terms of establishing that or achieving that aim. So yes, and just even from my knowledge of how they achieved that aim within Cambridge City, huge amount of public engagement, aiming at all different, demographics and ages that they've done over the years. So, yeah, it definitely fits in with that ambition.
Great, thank you. And Councillor Redrup, I think you had one waiting there.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me come back again. It was again on water, if that's all right, because I was interested in the opportunities that you're looking into to work with schools. I was just wondering if you had any more information on what kind of opportunities they might be. I think you, in your verbal report, you mentioned the Greater Cambridge Talk Streams project, and also like what kind of response you're getting from schools. Are they interested to work with the council? Or, are there barriers to that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So that at the moment, that sort of scoping out through of what our role could be in that project, sort of that's quite in quite an early stage. We're seeing where best sort of our role sits within that, and where best we can lend support, because there are different organisations involved doing sort of different parts of that project. So at the moment, it's a case of understanding where our support is going to have the biggest impact. But yes, sort of we'll be looking at sort of where we can, what support we can provide and at what stage of that. But I would say that is maybe at an earlier stage in sort of exploring those opportunities.
Great, thank you. If I can slip in one more? Just, you mentioned about the South Cambridgeshire magazine and having an article on water, and I think that was also something that was promised to the young people who took part at the Comberton Village College event. So I just wondered if that's coming soon, and if we would also let those students know that has come and that's a result of their questions. Thank you.
Yes, so I believe it's in the next edition. I'll have to confirm that, but I will. And once sort of that, if any updates, we will send on to the schools to let them know. Sort of, and also we'll send a copy of this report as well to the schools to make sure that they're up to date with the work that we're doing, and so that they know that we're responding to their concerns.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Khan.
Coming back to the education programme, I had difficulty obviously recruiting schools, and there's 8, there's still 2 spaces, and they tend to be very much biased towards primary schools. So I can see even Comberton is still in the process of confirming. I wondered, is there a way of increasing the contribution at secondary level? Is the programme designed by PECT very much designed for a primary level? Could you, for instance, involve sixth forms? They might find it easier to find the time than people doing GCSEs, because of the actual teaching time is less demanding at that level. There's plenty of work to do, but it's more flexible in that sense. So I just wondered what you thought, and the other aspect of it, including getting the numbers up, is it only state schools that are involved? Is there are private schools excluded? Just wondered out of interest, because that might be an issue that might be relevant if they were allowed to be included, in terms of making sure that you get full take-up.
Thank you. Yeah. So on the I've had an update on the number of schools. So 9 have actually signed up now. So it was 7 at the time of writing, and just to give an update, that it's now 9. It is available to a so I think it's angled towards all different types of sort of levels of schooling. So I mean, I'm not quite sure at the moment sort of why that sort of sway might be, but certainly it's open to everyone. I mean, primary schools do tend to be slightly smaller, and they have maybe less resource to devote to sort of climate and nature issues. So so they might not be as far along in their action planning as well.
I mean, I noticed that generally primary schools are more flexible in terms of involving in activities. That's why I'm wondering how you might, what levels, what particular niches in the secondary school would be most amenable.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, is that pizza? No.
Okay, I don't think there's going to be any shortage of themes to explore, but I suppose I just would mention, it's an incredibly sort of interesting time in terms of national policy, isn't it? Because I think there have been a lot of changes brought in since the change of administration in Westminster. So we've got things like the land use framework, the strategic spatial energy plan. We've got GB energy. I mean, and that could be a bridge to, I mean, for the older ones at least, national policy, which obviously we should always promote younger people's interest in politics, both local and national. So I think it's going to be a very exciting program for some of these children and young adults, and it's a great thing that we've put this in place. And thank you again, Ellie. So I think that concludes that item. We could now move on to item 7, which is a compendium update report.
Thank you, Chair. So this report brings 3 main updates on different sort of projects and work streams underway. I've already covered the Sustainable Food Summit, so I'll provide an update on Net Zero Villages and then hand over to Rebecca to go over the local nature recovery strategy update. So on the Net Zero Villages update, the CPCA funded grant scheme launched in December and has now come closed for applications. It closed on the 2nd of February, and we've completed the scoring process. So the scheme was aimed at funding the decarbonisation of community assets in rural villages across the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough area. And funding decisions will be made at the 27th of February Grants Advisory Committee. And an update on funded projects will be presented at the Climate and Environment Advisory Committee on the 1st of April.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Bhattacharya.
What is the meaning of the sustainable food place? Do you want to make it community food ground where everyone will come and cook? Or this one, page number 18. A more connected and resilient sustainable food place. Is it the collection of the free food, or is it making the free food, or it's a training of the making food? Page number 18, the aims of the summit are to the food summit. The question is that what does it mean, the sustainable food place? Like, how do you define? Is it where the people will be collecting the free food, or they will be learning, or what does it? How does it work? What is the definition of sustainable food place?
The definition that we are using is we're using the definition given by the organisation Sustainable Food Places. So they are an organisation who provide a framework for developing approaches to becoming a more sustainable food place. An example is Cambridge City. Cambridge City has been awarded a gold for being a sustainable food place, and there's a number of criteria which sort of you have to meet to get the award. But in terms of sort of how that we'd be basically using how they define a sustainable food place, and I will have to. I don't know off the top of my head that complete definition. I'd have to.
No, definition means I still did, because you said 3 times sustainable food place. I'm not challenging you. I'm asking how does it work? Like, do you give them how does it work? Like, what do you mean by sustainable food place? Is it a shop? Is it a free food is given, or the training is given, or the teaching is given, or the food cooking is happening? Like, what is actually happening there? How do I define a sustainable food place? Is it my kitchen, your kitchen, somebody else's kitchen, or is it a superstore? Like, how the food is coming into the picture?
I think it's all those things and more. It's a whole community. But I think what Ellie's trying to say is we're still learning as well. So we'll find out more tomorrow. But also there's an entity that regulates all this. So we're going to explore and find out what we need to do. So Cambridge City Council, they have a certification along that category. I think what they did is they banned the use of the kind of food they serve at meetings like this is only a particular, I forget what it is. So there are different things you can do to be classed as a sustainable food place. We're exploring, so we can't give a definitive answer now, but we're working with the relevant institutions to learn more and to see what we can do as well along that journey. So maybe after tomorrow's workshop, when we've engaged with different stakeholders in a few weeks, we can then say, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what the journey is going to be. This is where we're going to try and aspire to be by this time.
So we still do not know what does it mean.
Well, we know what there is a certain criteria that you need to work through to become a sustainable food place, and they're called pillars. There's pillars that undermine it, and it covers the entire food chain from growing all the way through to what happens with food waste at the end. So we'll be looking at, generally the management of the food system within South Cambridgeshire. It's not, so obviously things like food hubs, redistribution of food is part of that, but that's only one part of it. So it really is looking at the whole local food system network in the different sectors, within that.
Farmers will bring their food, or somebody will be cooking, and somebody will be distributing, or somebody will be lecturing, somebody will be teaching. Like, I'm still very confused with the thing, because it's a very much general topic about sustainable food. So sustainable food, what is the definition of sustainable food?
Can't hear anything, Chair.
I'm still very confused. That's why I'm saying that sustainable food is a very big word. It's a very much generic word. Like, when you say the sustainable food place, so it is not yet defined. So I will conclude that it is not yet defined. How will it be? It will work, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we can take those comments on board and make a few more, a more specific framework around that. So are there any other questions on the Sustainable Food Summit? In which case, I think we also have an item on or an update on the local nature recovery strategy. Yeah, thank you.
So just a brief update, really, to let you know the work that the steering committee has been working on. Currently, the work of the steering group and the subgroups is kind of very much focused on putting together the appropriate maps that will form part of the overall strategy, and a lot of focus at the minute is being put on the guidance that's needed, and explaining methods and approach. So when it goes out to the public, they will be able to easily digest and understand the contents of the strategy, and the maps is quite a key part of that, you know, in terms of the bits of land that we're looking at and the rationale as to why what's in the strategy is within the strategy and what isn't. So that's kind of the current focus, and there's another mapping workshop this month taking place. So following on from that, we now have a revised timeline for the development of the strategy overall. So we are expecting a final draft of the strategy in preparation for consultation to the steering committee in April, or end of April. And then if the steering committee is obviously happy with that, it's intended to go through the CPCA approval process in June. And then following that, it will go through all the partner organisations, obviously including South Cambs, in June and July, at which point, once we've done that step, it will be out for an 8-week public consultation process, which will be through late summer into September. Obviously, there will then be a period of time to gather all that feedback from that consultation process, and that's between August and November. And then once the strategy has been updated and following all that feedback, there's the second round of approval process, which is between November and December for the CPCA and each individual authority. And then at the current sort of timescales for aiming to sort of publish is going to be December this year or possibly early January 2026. So that's kind of the timescales we're looking at the minute. So yes, I might be able to give a further update in April.
Okay.
Because the next steering committees are going to be quite crucial.
Thank you very much. So do we have any? Oh, Councillor Martin Khan.
I'm glad to see that progress is being made. The mapping process is central, but we're just coming into a process of local government reform, and that will have quite, going into unitary authorities, the roles and the powers of the authority will be presumably a mixture of the two levels at the moment, which would mean that we would have, for instance, some parks team or green spaces management team, which we don't have at present. This was abandoned a number of years ago in South Cambs, and we'd have land because the county farms land. So, and that's been another thing which has been lacking in South Cambridgeshire. Has the programme, the plans, the strategy, taken account of the impact of having unitary authorities and different structures of local management? And have you thought, in terms of your input into the local entry strategy, commented upon this? Because if we're actually going to have control of land and possibility of actually putting input in ourselves, it gives a rather different strategy in our role in it. And I just wondered how you see that.
Thank you. Comments on that?
Yes. Good question. I think our last meeting had only just all come to light, but I think it probably will change. Certainly the consultation. I think we'll probably get a different outcome from the consultation process, and because of this now. But I feel in two minds about it really, because in terms of identifying where work should happen, well, that's regardless of governance. But who then ends up doing the work and who has that responsibility is what's then going to change. So I think it's fair to say we haven't had an in-depth discussion about that. I think it's about, at the minute, we're still focused on making sure it's a document that's fit for purpose to get that, to make sure the consultation is successful. But it completely, obviously, does put a different slant on it now, but we haven't discussed it in detail yet, but yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Shrabona Bhattacharya, thank you.
Thank you. So it's tomorrow, right? 19th February. Yeah. So today is 18th February. The summit is saying it's tomorrow, 19th February. So it's from the 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So who are the target audience and who are the speakers like? And is it like something like less carbon footage print-out food will be discussed more, like the local farming, so the local farmers, like That makes sense with the less carbon footage food. But who are the target audience and who are the speakers will be?
So the target audience is anyone involved in the food, in sort of food and sustainability in the district. So food businesses. So we've advertised it through our sort of food business channels. We have sort of shared it with agriculture, so people who liaise with farmers and sort of have contacts with different farmers, and they've shared it onwards with farmers. Also people in sort of who work on food and health as well. And we've also shared it with more general sustainability groups. We have done some more sort of general posting to anyone who might be sort of general communication of it, to anyone who might be interested in it. So the idea is that we get all of these different people who are involved in the different parts of food around the district and get them all involved so that we can understand what they want, a sustainable, like South Cambridgeshire, which is a sustainable food place, to look like, and then we can work out sort of where we need to go from there. So that's the idea, that we sort of bring in as many people who are involved with it.
So the people means who hold the business, the food business. So my question is there. So I think I really recommend chairman, if all the officers can sit in this line, it's much more. I agreed. Yeah. So my mic is here. So the targeted speakers or the audience, they're different things. So the speakers will be the council officers, right? Or the speakers will be the who are in the business, who are in the food business, or the food grower. Now the food growers are the farmers, and the food business who are processing the food. They're the two different industry. So
we have different. So none of the officers are speaking. So the speakers we have are from a range of different backgrounds. So we've got people coming from the organisation Sustainable Food Places, people who've set up sustainable food networks before and have extensive experience in doing that and sort of living it. We also have a panellist of sort of one person who organises different food hubs and food networks. We have someone who is the agricultural relationships manager for a food company, and we also have a sort of different, basically people from different sectors, and also someone whose speciality is in food networks, food distribution. Yeah, that's the one.
Thank you. So I wonder, that takes us back to the food theme, coming back to the local nature recovery strategy. Is that one of the sort of tensions there to be resolved in terms of, for example, increasing our tree cover versus retaining the best and most versatile land? I guess that is one of the key things, I would think, for South Cambridgeshire, with its kind of very significant contribution to food growing nationally, but also is very depleted tree cover.
Yes, that is completely the case. And I think as a steering group, we're very aware of the farming community and both the role that they can play in increasing biodiversity and nature recovery, and also the limitations of that. And I think we're very much looking forward to, I guess we are looking forward to, but I think we recognise them as a key stakeholder in terms of wanting feedback from them on the strategy, and what the role and expectations there are for delivering it. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on the local nature recovery strategy? In which case, I think we can almost draw to a close. We have the forward plan as the final item, I think. Oh yeah. Bhattacharya.
This question is that how much agricultural land do we have in South Cambridgeshire? Because lots of housing things are happening, and the transformation of the land is happening very quickly, very swiftly. And we are also losing our agricultural land, which is, I think, the agricultural land is one of the best quality in the country. So now the next anxiety or the worry comes in mind: how much agricultural land we still have in this district.
Well, if I could just sort of answer that, the officers might wish to add something, but and you see the government launched a public consultation on a land use framework about 10 days ago. And I think South Cambs will be submitting our own response to that. But I think that's the reason the government have brought that forward. I mean, it started with sort of a cross-party kind of initiative, House of Lords, etc. But I suppose as we, gradually have more and more pressures on land, we need to use the land as sensibly as we can. So I wonder if actually now we're in the forward plan, I mean, the land use framework may be something that we might wish to have an item on, but that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
much do we have still land?
Yeah.
Plenty.
Okay.
This is the best land of the country, like the class 1.
Yes. Yeah.
These are other than it.
Okay. Thank you. So, do we have a who's going to?
Just a question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Bhattacharya. So, Ellie, are you going to present the forward plan segment, or yeah?
Yep, I can do. Yep, so in the next meeting is the final meeting this year that we have scheduled in, and it's on the 1st of April. So there we will have a end of project report for the HUG 2 project, so that's a home upgrade grant 2 project, and we will have a 6 free trees report on the uptake this year. And there will also be, as mentioned, an update on the development of the climate and nature strategy. And those are the confirmed, and then to be confirmed is an update on the minimum, on the work involved with the minimum energy efficiency standards.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think I've mentioned before, I'd quite appreciate, and I think maybe we're going to get Emma Davis to visit the committee at some point, just to kind of really educate us all on some of the things that are happening at the national level. And I think I mentioned in particular community energy, which I notice has now, via a series of parliamentary manoeuvres, is now going to be in the Great British Energy Bill. So I think it would be quite interesting for us to know a bit more about what community energy means and what its potential is for South Cambridgeshire. So maybe we'll look forward to that whenever we can fit that in. But, thank you. Any other points on the forward plan from members? Okay. Well, in that case, I think I can bring the meeting to a close. So, just one more point. Oh no, I thought you had. I think Councillor Hawkins was saying, yes, please bring the meeting to a close. So we'll do that. Thank you very much, everyone.